that's me you see in the photos. I'm a Syrian artist, lawyer, writer, and foodie, big foodie. I started playing violin when I was 6. I went to law school. I graduated law school, did a master in corporate law, became a lawyer, which was like my daytime, my day job. And then I was on the side, I was playing gigs in Aleppo City. And I've worked with I've been in so many venues than I can remember. And I've always been on stage, watching people having a good time, eating and enjoying the music and socializing. And I guess it stayed with me. And after the war in Syria, because I couldn't really work as a lawyer outside Syria, I shifted to development. So I worked for like almost 8 years with USAID on governance projects in Syria. And I've done some research projects in Iraq, basically working with people to help people in conflict areas. In 2018, I decided to leave the development work and come to the UK to do another master in development studies. I've done migration studies, masters at SOAS University, and my thesis was about herbicide, about the destruction of public space from the urban and from the migration literature point of view. All of this trajectory brings me here. After I finished my master's, COVID started. COVID was hard, and solitude is also hard. So I started cooking, and I actually just, started inviting people to my place to just eat and share food with them, friends or new acquaintances, sometimes neighbors. And every time I ask someone about Syria, there's like, yeah, Syria, we know there's a war, we know there are many refugees, and we know shawarma. And I was like, as someone from Aleppo City, which is very well known for its great cuisine, I was like, yeah, but I think Syrian food is a bit more than shawarma. So that thing kind of stayed with me, and it's also connected to the whole manifestation of the Orient. When you are in London, when you go to SOAS, you understand, you learn new things about how the representation of Eastern cultures, how it happens here. So I decided I want to after fighting in the political arena and for 8 years, I decided I want to step down and move to another arena where I believe the fight is more realistic, and it also has more impact. So I decided that I want to use food to just tell my story. Meanwhile, I was blogging as well on Facebook and posting my recipes on Instagram and making more friends and inviting more people. Why food? Why I chose food to be my arena? Because food represents our bonding with our land, with our values. Feed the children first. Let the older person start and introduce people to the table. A lot of values are embedded in our everyday that we don't recognize. And I think extracting these values through food will help people reconnect with their identity. Food and economy, look what people are eating. You'll have a good idea about their social status. You'll know about the prosperity in their country. Do they have a welfare system? Politics and food, sieges, starving people to death in Syria, food baskets, UNHCR. Food is heavily politicized in so many contexts. And finally, food and well-being. When we eat, we're just fulfilling a need, to just, indulge ourselves. And that's also, from the community perspective, it's a very important aspect of social life. So that's why I chose food. And that's why I cook. Over the period between June 2020 and June 2022, I just realized I have cooked more than 100 different dishes. Not all of them are Syrian. Some of them just come from my Instagram feeds, like Gordon Ramsay, English roast, maybe some bruschetta, maybe some French duck, glazed breast. I mean, every dish that I try is a trip in time and in geography. I go to the past and I travel to the future by reimagining specific dishes. And to a refugee like me, whose life has been the past 10 years all around visas and immigration papers, that was so liberating. I was traveling to different countries on my food table and also taking people on journeys about talking about this food and also rooting it in my culture and my perspective. And then that was not just food, it was it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of people. It was a lot of love invested in what I do. And I think in the period of the last 2 years, I've invited more than 300 people who were all smiling at my table and who gave me a lot of support and a lot of ears to listen to my struggles and to help me through. So this is my story with food. And this is where I tell you now how I'm willing to just use all of that and just depart from this past that I have, this history, that some of it I couldn't help, but some of it is my own choice. So this is where the idea of a Suppr club came from. Is like all of these friends you see on the screen, they urged me to just take this somewhere like more professional, to just take it out of my home. So that's why I'm talking to you right now, because Beroea Suppr Club. Beroea is the name of Aleppo under the Greeks back in 300 to 400 before Christianity. It's believed that this was like the seed of like civilization. Is when the Greeks came and they established the city, they established like a colony in Aleppo and they called it Beroea. So I found this name very interesting because it also like highlights the Greek and like the more European influence over the history of Aleppo, which is something I'm trying to really use in my project to really merge and like just harmonize the Eastern culture with the Western culture. The plate itself, I mean, you're sitting at a restaurant, you're waiting for your food, and then the plate comes. So I guess you are like very focused on your plate. So I believe this plate can be a very important form of expression, and especially for culture like Syrian culture, where we serve food in large quantities and people cater themselves. We're not very used to get our plates like on the table. And I think that can give us a kick of modernity when we restructure the Syrian kitchen, especially Aleppo kitchen, which is very dear to my heart. And then we give it a kick of modernity, and then we use like kind of like installations using food to just tell a story. So that's what I'm trying to do. And my idea is exactly a Suppr club. And the Suppr club, we're not talking about a place. We're talking about a community of foodies, but also people who are passionate about social impact. And I'm also trying to just pitch this as my project. As someone who studied migration, I think I realized we need to do things differently, and I came to appreciate and I feel like humbled by getting to know many chefs, Syrian chefs who made it in Europe, in Germany, in Sweden. They present their culture the way they see fit. So we will be doing like a lot of activities. One of them is the residencies. So I'll be hosting these chefs here in the UK and in different venues, and we will be listening to their story. We will be looking at how they like actually restructured their presentations to actually appeal to the new communities where they're in. Workshops, we can teach people of the UK as well, few very simple recipes, muhammara, baba ghanouj, things they can brag about in front of their friends on like a Sunday morning when they're having brunch in the garden, to make it very easy and accessible, and most importantly, not stigmatized and not labeled as like politically. Also entertainment, in Halab we have the Sahara, and on a Thursday evening people go to restaurants who have live music, and then people will eat and drink and smoke shisha, but also like listen to the music and engage and sway in there. It's a very, very dear kind of like landscape for me that I would like to try replicating, and then getting non-Syrian people to engage with it and to really live it, like live as a Syrian for 2-3 hours. And then it's very interesting, and I hope we can make it happen. We'll also have a social mission. So through this Suppr club, we will be contacting a lot of venues and who will host the Suppr club. We will be cooking our delightful food, presenting it using different like ways and mechanisms, fundraising as well. We are committed to actually raising awareness for food security in Syria. There is a big problem for access to food in Syria, even after sieged areas have been, the siege has been released. Still, there is a food crisis in Syria, and it's getting worse. So we are intending to stand with this cause and to raise awareness about it, and also raise funds to help using campaigns, maybe collaborating with organizations in Turkey, Jordan, and Lebanon, so to see what we can offer and to give them also a voice here in the UK. Last but not least, food exhibition. I mean, photo exhibitions, you can look at the process of making like mabroum or baklawa or kebab siniye. And I think like displaying that in in a very artsy way, also like allows people to get in touch with the humans behind the food as well, and get to know our very sometimes complicated and long ways of cooking. All of that is going to be in the Suppr Club. It will be created by people and targeting people. Our target audiences, I think, when I thought about it, I thought we are trying actually. So first, we are trying to target Syrian diaspora in the UK, and that means as consumers, but also as producers. So connecting all the businesses, sweet shops, restaurants, maybe get this community together and bring them like in one space, and bring art into a restaurant, and then take food into like a gallery. We're really trying to break the rules about spaces, which is like, oh, you eat at a restaurant and then you go to a theater to listen to music, and then you go to a gallery. We're trying to create an immersive experience where we get all the people to just go through the Syrian experience the way we did it in Syria. The UK host communities, of course, I think there is a buy-in for them, because this is an alternative avenue of knowing the Syrian culture. And I don't think the media is doing well with that. And then the refugee community, the Syrian refugee community, is very kind of dominated with like fear, insecurity, a lot of misconceptions about the West as well. We're trying to just like cool all of these like sentiments down by inviting people to one space where we're just eating and chilling. And Syrians in Syria, that's actually, I thought maybe they are indirect, but then I thought there is no way they will be out of our direct mandate. We are connected to them. I'm not willing to just, give up my home country. So we are committed to them. And I think they are the authentic part of this experience. Their feedback, their contribution to the recipes, to the artwork and everything will actually make this work authentic. So we're trying to keep them in our direct targeted audiences. For indirect audiences, all of this work that we'll be doing will be on the media. We will be streaming most of the events on our website. So we hope we can reach Syrian diaspora globally in Europe, in the US, Canada. And also we hope that we get like followers from also like all around the world, from host communities, who will learn one thing about Syria and then take it home and tell it to their kids and to their loved ones. So at the end, it's about the togetherness part. So I think there's a great benefit in amplifying the values of togetherness in the Syria food culture. The way you see these people sitting on the ground, the way people maybe sit on a table, and the projection of class, actually, when you see different seatings in different places. And I think that's very, very useful in the current political climate, because now in this climate, Syrians are either victims or unwelcome people. So I think by diving into how they cook and how they eat and see their tradition and see the humans behind it, I think we can humanize the discourse about Syrian migration. And also host communities in the UK can get a healthy entry point, non-politicized and not forced, at the point where they walk in choice, curious to know, curious to taste, and then the Syrians will feel in their comfort zone. So I think this is also like an added value that our project brings. When and where? I mean, we're looking for spaces to host the club. We are in the hunt right now. We're talking to a lot of venues. It will take some time, but we hope that the Beroea Suppr Club can travel not only around London, but around the UK, taking the story, taking the artwork. It will be like a pilgrimage where we bring people, like Syrian people, we bring them a piece of home. And then for the host communities, we also bring them something like authentic and that might interest them. That's the timeline for my Suppr Club. We were thinking into 4 phases. So the first one will start in July. It's a planning phase. So we will start working on branding, developing content for the website, social media platforms. This will include like the calendar, booking system, thinking about menus, how do we want to go, photography, getting stakeholder mapping, looking at like where the density of Syrian diaspora in London is, and all of that. And then after that, in September, actually I almost secured the venue to host this pilot for 3 months. It's a very nice, great view, like room on top of a building in Canary Wharf. So we think like by September, once we have like this kind of like baseline, we'll start hosting bi-weekly events of up to 10 to 15 people, where we invite stakeholders, venue owners, people we want to collaborate with, and then we present the whole idea to them. They get to eat, watch, live the experience. And then as we go in these 3 months, we will try to populate the calendar with more reservations, more offers for collaborations, and also we can refine the way we present food and the escalation plan for how it's going to go later. Soft launching we expect in January. I think if we could secure like 4 venues, I think that would give us like 2 months ahead of time. I think we can do more than 4. But like then with the soft launch, we will launch a crowdfunding campaign. The website will have been ready. The content has been there. And also all the data collected for user experience from the pilot will be there in our service as well. And then the crowdfunding will start, and then we will start networking. And then we expect like by January, between January and March, we will have achieved the minimum level of exposure, and we will have the minimum viable product as well. And then official launching is meant to happen in March 2023. If we can stick to this plan, I think it's a reasonable plan. And there is a lot of experience that has already been collected in the past 2 years from many people. So I guess that will help. What we need right now, I didn't really get the time, and you know, Fred, I really appreciate the help of TERN and Result CIC, like for the great like help they gave me. I literally like just put this together in the last week, because I think I have too many ideas and sometimes I just need to focus. So what we need is professional photographer and video maker. Now I'm thinking about Ravi actually. When Ravi was just talking, I'm thinking like maybe we can cooperate. But like for my ask right now, we need professional photographer and video maker to help us in the first 6 months to build our portfolio. We're gonna need a graphic designer and website developer to just prepare the website and connect all the social media platforms. And then we're gonna need seed funding to invest in cutlery, decoration, social media advertising for like the soft launch, and materials for the testing phase for the first 3 months. And we're being very ambitious, but we also would like to hire project manager, social media expert, and the PR associate. So the project manager will be managing the whole process and testing the pilot. Social media expert will work on the social media platforms to prepare them, and PR associate will be connecting with venues and potential partners. All right, yeah. So, and then any help with spaces, if any organization or anyone like can offer us a space to host the event, that will also help a lot. Any of what I mentioned, I know I don't have an estimation for my ask, because I think, as I said, we're not ready for the crowdfunding yet. But I think any volunteers, like if we can get whatever we're asking, either through hiring people or through getting volunteers, so that's also very welcome. Yeah, and then that was it. Thank you very much. Please contact me if you have any question, or please do ask now. Thanks.